Welcome to the programme. German prosecutors have dropped their investigation into TV comedian Jan Böhmermann. He was accused of insulting Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Let me just give you that story again. Last March, you may remember, Böhmermann read out a poem about Erdogan on his satirical show, suggesting that the Turkish leader engaged in bestiality and watched child pornography. Now, that prompted Erdogan to file a complaint against the comedian, and in April, the German government gave prosecutors permission to investigate him.
Jan Böhmermann has always been known for his sharp tongue, but even he seemed to sense his next prank might go too far.
I'm not allowed to do what I'm about to.
With these words, he recited a poem he called Schmähkritik, or abusive criticism. But the poem poking fun at Turkish President Erdogan struck a nerve, and Turkish diplomats demanded German prosecutors bring charges against him for insulting a foreign leader. In a controversial decision, German Chancellor Angela Merkel allowed the case to go forward, but now state prosecutors are dropping all charges.
Freedom of expression is important here. Federal prosecutors have determined the poem was satire. It's important to understand the context of the poem. That means how it was introduced and placed in the broadcast. Context is key. And given that, we don't feel the intention was just to be insulting.
German federal prosecutors agreed Jan Böhmermann hadn't set out to insult Erdogan, so charges have been dropped. But the legal wrangling isn't over yet. In a different case, Erdogan's lawyers are attempting to ban the poem from being performed in public.
We're going to get more on this now from our political correspondent Simon Young. Simon, what reasons exactly did the prosecutors give for dropping this case against Böhmermann?
Well, Christopher, the public prosecutor says that it's impossible to prove that Jan Böhmermann deliberately insulted President Erdogan. Now, this is a bit puzzling to those of us who don't deal with this kind of thing on a daily basis, particularly because in his television show, the comedian explicitly said that he is aware that there's a difference between, on the one hand, satire, which is presumably protected by freedoms of speech and artistic freedoms, and on the other hand, insulting, offensive language used particularly against a head of state, which could potentially be against the law. And then he went on to say, the poem that I'm about to read out is the second kind of thing. It's insulting language and could well be against the law. So, it's very interesting that the public prosecutor's taken a different view of all this.
Well, has there been any reaction so far to this decision?
There has been some generally positive reaction, particularly from politicians outside the government, I should say, but they're mainly saying, it's a good thing that this shows that the German justice system is not influenced by the likes of President Erdogan, and that he should be less thin-skinned in future and get on with restoring the rights of people in Turkey. So, broadly speaking, some positive reaction, although criticism of Chancellor Merkel that she allowed this lèse-majesté case to go ahead in the first place.
And should we expect this to have an impact, more of an impact on German-Turkish relations?
Well, I think it could have a bit of a positive impact if it means that, there isn't a long, drawn-out court case in which these insults, are at the centre of proceedings all the time. So that could make things a little bit easier on a personal level between Turkish and German officials. But there are plenty of issues between the two countries. There's concern about the crackdown on press freedoms and other freedoms in Turkey following the coup. There's the reluctance from Berlin to allow a visa-free travel for Turkish citizens, and the connection between that and the deal on refugees with the EU, and many other issues that trouble the relationship. So this isn't really more than a footnote in the overall relationship between the two countries.
OK, Simon, many thanks for that. Simon Young there, our political correspondent.